Horse rework, mounts, intent and goals. So for every concept design doc we do in the studio, we outline the intent and goals just to make sure what we're doing is okay. Yeah, this is a gilded leak, 100%. I'm showing this to you as the CEO, so you don't have to read. You don't have to sign an NDA. This is just me wanting you guys to know what we're doing. Get your thoughts. Improve the player's ability to traverse the game world. Add a new strategic layer to combat through the use of mounted combat, which I feel like is probably one of the biggest things we lack, is not having mounted combat for a medieval game. I think really it's not as exciting as it could be. Progression to mounts. Goals. Add new types of mounts. Horse, donkey, camel, mules. Expand on the amount of mount attributes and give attributes actual meaning. Allow for players to tame mounts in the wild. Allow for players to breed mounts together. Breeding update confirmed. Oh my god. Don't read this as allow for players to breed together. That's not what it says. It says allow for players to breed mounts together. Add different armor and equipment onto mounts. Allow mounts to participate in combat and take damage from other players and mounts. Types of mounts. With this rework, we are proposing starting off with 4 types of mounts. And again, this is a proposal, so all this stuff is subject to change. But this is what we're thinking of doing. With this rework, we're proposing starting off with 4 different types of mounts, potentially more unique ones in the future. Why is this beeping? Why are you beeping? It's not even telling me why it's beeping. It's just beeping. Ah, I see. No, I'm not getting robbed. That's a blood sugar month. Because I have low blood sugar. Horse, the most common and versatile mount. Wild horses may be found in grasslands and plain areas. Decreased in the speed and agility in desert areas by 50%. Generally has more health than camels. Donkeys must be found in hilly and mountainous areas. Decreased speed and agility in desert areas. Decreased by 50%. Generally much slower than all other mounts. Favors strength more than horses and camels. So, for example, donkeys would be a lot better at carrying stuff. That's what strength refers to. Camel. Wild camels can be found in desert areas. Increased speed and agility in desert areas. Increased by 25%. Similar to horses in attribute distribution. Generally favors endurance more than horses or donkeys. Mules can only be obtained through crossbreeding a female horse and a male donkey. Decreased speed and agility in desert areas. Decreased by 50%. Sterile mules cannot breed. Quality. Mount's quality determines how hard it is to tame. The range. Wait. You guys can't see that. Okay. Mount's quality determines how hard it is to tame. The range of each attribute a wild mount can spawn with, and the chance for a positive mutation versus negative one. There will be 8 levels of quality for each mount. More on taming attributes and mutations below. Attributes. All mounts have certain attributes depending on the type of mount. Each attribute may have a higher or lower potential compared to other mounts. And then I will let you guys go over the attributes. I'll be right back. we go. Got yogurt. Coming back. All right. Welcome back. Vlad, where are you going? Why don't you just hang out? I don't want to get up. All right, I had to get some yogurt. Get that blood sugar up so I can function, not have a seizure. Just kidding. Vlad. Yogurt's Greek, bud. The only part of yogurt that's Turkish is the part of Turkey that should be Greece, meaning Constantinople. Come here. Okay, you want to leave? No, you want to stay? Okay, then we'll stay. Okay. Okay, attributes. So all mounts have varying attributes. Each attribute can be higher or lower compared to other mounts. Is it disrespectful to read while I eat? Do you guys mind? I don't want to be gross. Some cultures that might be gross. I don't think it's a big deal in America, but okay, don't mind. Crown, I thought you muted the stream, bud. So health, overall HP, hit points of the mount. So how many hits it needs to take before it gets killed. Vitality. Okay, so there's only one way to kill a horse. I'll explain that, but if a mount goes to 0 HP, it becomes injured and gets stored at a stable. The vitality determines how many times a mount can be injured without no longer being able to be healed. Essentially, how many lives the mount has. So if you get a mount with 100 vitality, that mount can die 100 times in combat before it's no longer usable, and there's no way to regenerate the lives. It's kind of like a nerf on horses. So people don't just take horses into every engagement. Handling, how fast the horse can turn, how responsive it is. Yeah, 100 would probably be a lot, but horses are also going to be really powerful and hard to get. Good ones. Speed, how fast it is, how fast they accelerate. Yeah, buddy. Do you want to leave or not? Endurance determines overall stamina of the mount. So much like how they work now. Strength, how much it can carry. If a mount's overburdened, it will affect the mount's stats. So stuff like armor, stuff like that is pretty serious. Okay. A wild mount's attributes are each determined by the time they are generated. Each attribute is based on the following formula. Base max equals base attribute plus base attribute times 0.01 times quality minus 1. Attribute equals math.max, which is just like highest number, I think, times a random number between the max minus base attribute. Look, you guys can do this math. I'll put it here. I realized it wasn't on the screen. But anyway, that's how the sort of rolling will be, because it's going to be randomly generated. where the quality of the mount's quality level and the base attribute is the base attribute number for each attribute determined by the type of the mount. As a hard limit, an attribute cannot go below 1. If a wild mount has an attribute at 1, you probably don't want it. So, base attribute of 100, quality level 1. The mount type can spawn with the attribute range of 50 to 100. Etc. etc. So, I mean, it's not going to be this complicated for a player. Basically, you'll just be able to see, okay, this horse has 10 strength or whatever. This just is the math behind how it's going to be implemented on our side. I don't have dates for the update. No, I don't do that. Okay, here are the base attributes so you guys can get an idea. So, horse, a little more health, vitality is about the same. So 10, right? So you could take this horse into battle 10 times. And if you take it in the 10th time, it's just going to die and you can't save it. And you can see here, donkey, a little bit more strength. Camel, a little more endurance, a little less health. Mules can only be bred. Color pattern. So we're using genetic inheritance. Genetics. So cool. So cool, genetics. Silicate. Genetic inheritance. Wild mount is generated, assigned 2 color genes. Unique value assigned to a dominant or recessive gene if it's wild. So this is essentially to allow custom. I mean, the color's not going to do anything, but it's possible if you wanted all black horses or all white horses that you could breed that eventually. Punnett square, we did those in school. You guys don't know what that is. Let's look it up. Punnett square hair color. You can see here Punnett square. So this is what we're going to be using. Acquiring new mounts. So there's different ways to acquire mount. Taming must be mounts must be tamed in the wild. You find mounts just like you might find English U. Oh wait, this is all screwed up. Hold on, sorry guys. There we go. Okay. You can find mounts just like you find English U. Dramatic example, but you find them in different areas. They have to be tamed, and you can find different mounts in different biomes depending on the type. Each unique mount in the world will either be male or female. This is important for breeding. When a wild mount is generated in the wild, redundant. When a wild mount is generated, it has a 50-50 chance of being either male or female. Okay, just like real life. To tame a mount, first, okay, tame a mount. Oh God. I hate it. Oh, I'm fixing. Oh, we're cooking now. Let him cook. Here we go. Oh, no, but my head's in the way. Can I fix this? God, okay. There we go. Boom, baby. There you go. Emperor's New Groove. Okay. You have to find the mount in the wild. Once you find it, it can be tamed through the wrangling skill using a rope. There'll be different qualities of rope. To attempt taming the mount, the rope must be equipped to the player's tool slot and the horse is interacted with. Rope is made using a plant material, probably flax, which will add. Has 10 durability each time the player attempts to wrangle a mount. 1 point of durability is removed from the rope, giving the rope 10 uses. When attempting to wrangle the mount, check is ran when the chance to tame the mount is determined in quality. So this is the part I kind of disagreed with. I think mounts should require some sort of skill, but the skill will be based also on your wrangling ability. So you'll be given a bunch of squares to click on the screen. They'll show up faster and faster depending on how good the horse is, and depending how low your ability is, the faster you click, more chance you have to wrangle. Rather than just raw percentage generator, because that's just not engaging. And if you're on a phone, you just go boop, 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 boop. See how much it works. I've only played Red Dead Redemption like once. I don't remember the system from it. So you couldn't find the best horse by just looking around. More on that. The chance to tame a male mount is 33% less than a female. Wrangling level 33 for a quality 8 male would only have a 6.5 chance of being tamed. Meaning, if you really want to like get the best horse, you also have to be very good at wrangling. You can't just find it. It's not like English U, same way. Taming higher level mounts gets you better wrangling XP. Once tamed, the domesticated mount must be led to a stable and registered and named. Once registered, you can then ride your mount. Tamed mounts all have a bond stat that increases the more you use it. Once the bond reaches 100%, then the mount is fully under your command and control. The lower the horse's bond stat, the more often either delay, response, or moving in the opposite direction, left instead of right, will occur. So if you've ever ridden a real horse, you would understand that depending how well tamed the horse is will depend how responsive it is. Also, games like Breath of the Wild have a similar bonding system. When selling a mount to another player, the bond stat will be reset to 50%, stimulating the idea that the horse will be comfortable with humans, but not necessarily a specific rider. The more a mount is sold, the higher the bond will be reset up to 75%. Horseback riding skill will be renamed to riding. Each level you gain in riding, the faster your bond with a mount. In addition, some passive skills will improve your bond speed. Mounts in the wild can only spawn with a maximum 170% of their base attributes. That means this is important. That means the only way to obtain the best mounts is through breeding. Mounts must be bred between opposite sexes, male and female, for desirable attributes characteristics. Female mounts have slight cooldown applied every time they are bred. By breeding mounts, you can improve their attributes up to 300% of their base attributes. So over generations, you could breed a donkey with a maximum strength of 480, so it could literally carry, thousands of pounds of stuff, maybe, or 1,000 pounds, something like that. When mounts are bred, the offspring's attributes are randomly selected between the attributes of the parents. In addition, regardless of quality, there's a 10% chance for an attribute to mutate. If a mutation is successfully rolled, there's a 50% chance that the mutation is positive. The mutation will add or subtract 1 to 10 points, meaning there's only a 1% chance for a positive negative mutation for vitality. After a successful mutation roll, the chance for a positive mutation increases by 2.5% for each quality level above 1 from the parent. So the higher the quality of the parent mounts, the better chance of getting improved stat on the offspring. Breeding 2 8 quality mounts together has a 90% chance of a positive mutation. After the 10% chance is rolled, so 9%. Example 1, parent 1 has a speed attribute of 150, quality 6, blah, blah, blah. You guys can read that if you want. By breeding and crossbreeding eligible mounts, over time a player could create breeds that are bred for certain attributes. So you could create a war horse that's very strong, and maybe not as fast, but has a ton of vitality and strength, so it can carry your heavy armor and your knight into battle. There's also going to be an animal husbandry skill. This will be what is required for breeding. And there's the levels of what you need to unlock. After breeding mounts, it'll take some time, perhaps several real-life days, for the offspring to be born. So you can't just spam a million mounts for breeding. After being born, it will take several additional time before the offspring can fully develop into a rideable adult. During this time, feeding the offspring with hay will reduce the time to develop to start the bond above 0%. As you level up in animal husbandry, certain skills give certain chances for offspring to improve and attributes when developed, as well as skills to further improve the starting bond. Okay, armor and equipment. This is the exciting part to me. Mounts can be upgraded and enhanced by equipping them with armor and other types of equipment. Here's a list of possible types of equipment. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I understand. Shh. Okay. Crafted at a tannery. This needs hunting. Various tiers depending on leather. Improves the mount speed by 10%. Crafted at a tannery with leather for reins, saddle, armor, which is blacksmith, and barding, which is like if you wanted a Byzantine double-headed eagle, you could put that on the side of a mount. So it could actually have like a skin, basically. Combat. Mounts will finally be able to be properly used in combat, including taking damage themselves. Mounts can provide, this is the exciting stuff, guys, provide massive advantages in combat. When riding into a group of enemies, all enemies will be staggered. If an enemy is directly in front of the mount, they will be knocked down and stunned for a certain amount of time. So this is very, very powerful, guys. Intentionally very powerful. A rider may ride their mount with a short sword and a spear, a spear and a shield, a one-handed mace, which are being added, a one-handed mace and a shield, or a bow. Any two-handed melee weapon, daggers and crossbows will be unusable. You cannot use those on a horse. You just can't. Maybe a halberd, but I doubt it. Unless we might make like a lance or something like that. That'll be a specific type. But you can't like take a great sword on a horse. That just doesn't make any sense. No one would ever do that. When colliding with an attack from another player, mounts will take damage. Spears and polearms, halberds will do up to 300% damage to mounts. 300% damage to mounts, scaling depending on how fast the mount is moving. Specific skill tree passed in these two skill trees can make this damage even more punishing, allowing for a specialized anti-cavalry path. A special active skills for spears called entrenchment will allow a spear user to entrench their spear and crouch down, demolishing opponent cavalry charges and making them immune from being stunned. If a mount drops to 0% HP, it will be considered wounded. It will automatically be returned to the stable, where it can be revived for a silver fee, or a gold fee, depending on who owns the stable. If a mount has not been wounded but is below max HP, it can be healed to max for a similar fee at a stable. Based on the vitality attribute, a mount only has a certain amount of times it can be wounded. Once it's gone through all of its lives, it will permanently be wounded. A smart player will no longer take a mount to war when it is low on vitality, but perhaps retire it to be used purely for breeding, like a good racing horse, for example. When a horse is wounded or dies in the world, it will drop loot in its inventory similar to players, assuming it's a looting zone. Mounted warriors are themselves a class of fighter outside the current normal combat meta. They serve to obliterate almost all types of infantry, archers, crossbowmen on an open field. In less open areas when fighting spearmen, they are hard countered and more limited. So they're very, very powerful. Mounted warriors are meant to be devastatingly powerful on an open field. Riders will be very hard to hit, meaning the horse will be taking the majority of the damage. Spears and the limited vitality of the mount will balance their total domination over all warfare environments. When a horse is wounded and not going over a certain speed, the rider will fall off, become temporarily stunned, and take damage scaling based on the speed the mount was going. So, look, cavalry charges, just like real life, very powerful, very expensive. Horses will be good horses. A good war horse is going to be hard to breed, hard to get. But when you get one, they're going to be very useful. Low status horses just for running around, You could take it into combat. It's going to die very quickly. But a war horse with armor, very powerful. Implementation. By expanding on the current system. Blah, 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 blah. I'm a skimmer. Loop. Here's the gameplay loop. Okay, I don't know why being difficult, but just do it. Okay. This is a gameplay loop. Better mount, find mount, tame mount. This is essentially what will happen. Okay. This is what the combat might look like a combat indicator. Instead of it being up and down like a cross, it would be more like an X. Tack up into the left, tack up into the right, down to the left, down to the right. So you could do cavalry v cavalry combat, or cavalry v infantry. So either one will be usable. And that's it for the cavalry update. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe below. If not, leave a dislike and tell us why this content could be improved in the comments below. We'll see you guys in the next one.